In the past lessons, we've learned the routes, controllers, models, views, database seeders, factories. But we haven't put all of this information together. Let's go ahead and do that to master the model view controller pattern. Now, we have our to-dos page, and we want to fetch a list of all to-dos from the database and display them on this to-dos page. So how do we do that? Remember, a controller, which is the to-dos controller, in the app HTTP controllers folder, is in charge of returning this view. But what we could do here is fetch all to-dos from database and then display them in the to-dos.index page. So this is what we are going to do. How do we fetch all the to-dos from the database? Remember, our model is in charge of communicating with the to-dos table in the database. So we are simply going to use that model right here. So first we have to say use app/todo. And remember, we are getting to the app namespace and then we are getting the todo.php class right there. Now we're going to come here and we're going to say to-dos is going to be to do, and we are going to call a static function called all. And this is going to fetch all of the database records in the to-dos table. Remember, Laravel automatically knows that to do plus an S is going to give you the table that this model is supposed to communicate with. So to do is going to communicate with the to-dos table, and the to-dos table is from this migration right here. So create to-dos. Okay, so it's kind of like the singular of the to-dos table is going to be used as the model name. So to do all is going to get all of the to-dos from the to-dos table and save them in this variable called to-dos. Now, to make this available to our view, we are going to call a function called with. So we're going to say with, and we're going to say to-dos, and we're going to pass in to-dos right here. So the with function takes in the first argument, which is the name of the key that we want to pass to our view, and the second is the data we want to pass to our view. Let me make it shorter. I'm going to say here we should just have to do all like this. So what happens is we are going to have a key called to-dos in our view, and that value is going to be to do all like this. I'm going to show you. Let's go to our view, resources, views, to-dos, index.blade.php. Now in this view we are going to have a key called to-dos, and for us to see the content of these to-dos, let's try this. I'm just going to say to-dos right here, and if I come right back, refresh, it gives me an error that says access denied for user homestead at localhost using password yes. But remember, I've provided the correct credentials for connecting to my database, which means that every time you change your environment variables, you have to stop your server and start it again. So php serve, and now it's going to get the correct credentials from the environment, and we can refresh our application again. And now if we refresh our application, you can see that we have a bunch of data right here. So all of this is an array of objects coming from our database, which means the to-dos key or the to-dos variable right here is data coming from our database. And remember, what is the to-dos key? It's the key we defined right here. And to do all gets all the data from our database and sends to this view with this key. So if we change the name of this key right here to task and refresh this page, Laravel tells us undefined variable to-dos because we don't have this to-dos key existing anymore. But if we call this task and refresh, the error goes away. Let's change that back to to-dos because that's what we have. So this is going to be to-dos. And if I refresh, great, everything is fine. So now we have an array of objects right here, but this is not what we want. We want this data to be displayed in an unordered list that is presentable for the user to see and enjoy. So how are we going to do this? We are going to come here to our view, and we are going to loop through all of the to-dos, which is an array, and we are going to display data from the to-dos. So how do we do this? We are going to create a loop at for each, and this for each right here is what we call a blade directive. Remember, this file is called .blade.php, and this is the templating engine that comes by default with Laravel, so that we can dynamically generate data for our views. So for each, and we can say to-dos as to-do. So it's just like a traditional loop in PHP. So for each of the to-dos, and we're going to end this loop using the end for each. Behind the scenes, Laravel is going to actually create a for each loop. Remember, this is a normal loop in PHP. So we have for each and for each. And then we're going to have, to do as to-dos, and we're going to have the block of code right here. So this is what the templating engine is going to do for us. But this is a much more cleaner way to do it. So in this, we can have a list item. Okay, and this list item is going to display to do, and then we can display the name of the to do. Remember, this open and close is how we display the contents of a variable in Laravel Blade. So we open up the curly braces and we close it, and in there we can write the variable and then name. Okay, so to do, since it's an object, we get name. So now if we come back to our browser and refresh, great, you can see a list of 10 items right there which display the name of the to-do. So let's just place this in an unordered list. Save, refresh, and great, we have our unordered list right there. So for each of the to-dos from the database, display the name, and you can see we have the names right there. This is awesome. So we first of all have our routes file, which defines that every time a user tries to visit the to-dos page, the to-dos controller at index method should be called. So we went to our to-dos controller and we defined an index method. This index method returns a view with some data. The name of that data is to-dos, and the value of the data is to-do all. To-do is our model, and the all function is a static function that fetches all the records from the database table controlled by the to-do model, which is the to-dos table. Then it returns this view called to-dos.index, and in this index view, we loop through each of the to-dos from our database, which is this key called to-dos right here, which is what we specified in our controller. And for each of those, we display an unordered list item, and we display the name of the to-do. So if we come to our view right now, you can see we have the complete model view controller pattern in functionality right here. Okay, so I hope you had fun doing that. I'll catch you up in the next lesson.